The city of New York, with its bustling streets and glowing skyscrapers, had always been a place where millions of lives intertwined. Yet for Emily Parker, the city often felt too big, too fast, and far too lonely. At 27, she worked as a junior editor at a publishing house in Manhattan, spending her days surrounded by stacks of manuscripts and her evenings tucked away in her small apartment in Brooklyn. Her life was steady but quiet until a single chance encounter threatened to stir up everything she had neatly tucked away in her heart. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Emily decided to stop by a small independent bookstore tucked between a coffee shop and a flower stand. The bell above the door jingled as she stepped inside, inhaling the comforting scent of old pages mixed with fresh ink. She often came here when she needed peace, but that day, peace wasn't waiting for her. Across the aisle, standing near the classics section, was a man she hadn't seen in nearly 10 years, Daniel Mitchell. Her breath caught instantly. Daniel, the boy who had once been her everything, her best friend, and her first love back in high school. The one who had left suddenly after graduation, vanishing from her life without a proper goodbye. Emily froze, clutching the strap of her bag. The years hadn't dimmed her memory of him. His dark hair, the thoughtful way his eyes always seemed to look beyond the surface of things, and that easy smile that used to make her heart race. Only now, he wasn't a boy anymore. He stood taller, more confident, wearing a navy coat with a scarf casually draped around his neck. He looked like someone who belonged in the city. She could have walked away, pretended not to notice, but something deep inside wouldn't let her. Before she could stop herself, Daniel looked up, his eyes locking with hers. For a split second, he seemed just as stunned. "Emily?" His voice was lower, steadier, but it carried the same warmth she remembered. Her throat tightened. "Daniel?" For a moment, silence filled the space between them, broken only by the distant shuffle of pages and the rain starting to patter against the shop window. "You're here," he said softly, almost like he couldn't believe it. Emily managed a nervous laugh. "I live here now, been here a few years." Daniel smiled faintly. "Me too. Just moved back. I didn't think I'd run into anyone I used to know, especially not you." Her heart raced. Memories of late-night walks, shared secrets, and promises they never got to keep came rushing back. But so did the memory of him leaving, the unanswered questions, the hurt. They sat together in the bookstore cafe, cups of coffee warming their hands as the storm outside grew heavier. The awkwardness of lost years hovered between them at first, but slowly conversation began to flow. Daniel told her about his years away, college in Chicago, traveling through Europe, and finally working as an architect. Emily shared her love for books, her job, and how she had built a quiet but steady life in New York. But unspoken questions hung in the air. Finally, Emily asked the one that had lingered in her heart for a decade. "Why did you leave without saying goodbye?" Daniel's expression softened, regret flickering in his eyes. "I didn't want to. My family moved suddenly because of my dad's job. I thought I'd come back. I thought I'd reach out sooner. But life kept moving, and the longer I waited, the harder it got." Emily swallowed hard. "You could have called, written, anything." "I know," he admitted. "And not a day goes by that I don't regret how I left things. You were unforgettable to me, Emily." Her chest tightened at his words. She wanted to be angry, but part of her still felt the truth in them. The storm outside raged on, trapping them in the bookstore longer than either expected. As the hours passed, laughter returned, hesitant at first, then freer, as if time itself was slowly stitching together the broken edges of their past. When the rain finally eased, Daniel walked her home. Standing at the corner of her street, He hesitated. "Can I see you again?" he asked gently. Emily looked into his eyes, the same eyes she had once trusted with her whole heart. She thought about the years apart, the pain of losing him, and the strange twist of fate that had brought him back. And though part of her feared opening that door again, another part whispered that maybe some people were meant to circle back into our lives. She gave a small smile. "Yes, Daniel, you can." Days turned into weeks. Coffee dates became walks through Central Park, museum visits, and late-night conversations over takeout. Slowly, Emily realized that the boy who had left was gone, but the man who returned was someone who still knew her in ways no one else did. Daniel wasn't perfect. He carried his regrets, and Emily carried her scars. But together, they began to learn that forgiveness could be the bridge between the past and the future. One winter evening,